Today I'll show you how I make compost. I'll build a new pile here in this geo bin using only organic matter I've collected from our property, plus some yard waste from a neighbor. And building the pile shouldn't take long at all. I'll show you exactly how long at the end of the video. My approach to making compost has changed over the years as the needs of our garden have changed. While we were expanding our garden, I made a lot more compost and I put a lot more effort into it. I made sure the piles stayed hot for weeks at a time, and I turned them frequently. But now that the expansion is complete, and the soil test has shown that we actually have nutrient surpluses, I no longer make nearly as much compost, and I'm not in a hurry to make it. As a result, making compost isn't nearly the chore it used to be. We filled this bin with autumn leaves and garden waste last fall, and harvested the finished compost over the past week. While this bin was full, we accumulated additional organic matter in bins in the alley. It's that organic matter that we'll be using today to build this pile. Let's go take a look. These bins are now full of organic matter that we've collected since last autumn, including some of our neighbor's yard waste. We've got a good mix of brown and green compost ingredients, so the new pile should heat up, but if it doesn't, that's okay. Moving this material will serve as the first and only turning of the new pile, and will also free up space for our neighbor to continue to put their yard waste here. Let's get started by moving this bin of pruned blackberry canes and twigs. The sticks and canes are brown compost ingredients, which means they're high in carbon. We like to start our pile with coarse materials like these because they create air pockets at the bottom, which provide oxygen needed by the aerobic bacteria that will break down the compost and cause it to heat up. Also, the sticks and canes will break down slowly, but placing them at the bottom will speed up their decomposition. I quickly spread the material around the bottom of the bin with a garden fork before heading back to the alley for more material. Oscar decided to make one of his trademark cameo appearances when I was bringing in the second load, which gave me a good laugh. This load contained a variety of high-carbon brown ingredients like twigs and autumn leaves, and high-nitrogen green ingredients like grass clippings and fresh trimmings from our boxwood hedge. One reason we have a good mix of both brown and green ingredients is that we accumulated the material starting in the fall when there are plenty of brown ingredients and ending in early summer when green ingredients are abundant. As a rule, 2 to 3 parts brown by volume to 1 part green will help a pile heat up, and it looks like I have pretty close to that. I spread the material around the circumference of the geo bin, which makes the bin more stable and helps it maintain a nice cylindrical shape. I then watered the material until it had the moisture of a wrung-out sponge. The microbes that break down compost need water to do their work, and I'll know they're busy at work when the pile heats up from their activity. I repeated the same process for a total of 10 trips from the alley to the new pile. Except for some eggshells and coffee grounds, everything added to the pile came from our garden or our neighbor's yard. As I dug deeper and deeper into the bins in the alley, I found less unfinished material and more finished compost. After each deposit, I spread the material around the bin, pushed it against the outer edge to stabilize the geo bin, and watered the material until it was as damp as a wrung-out sponge. By the time I made the last addition to the new pile, it was about a cubic yard in size, which is the perfect size for a hot compost pile. Smaller piles aren't as likely to heat up. Though I don't plan on turning the compost, the inclusion of lots of coarse sticks, twigs, and berry canes will create openings for air in the pile, which will help beneficial microbes do their work. Okay, we were able to fit all of the unfinished organic matter from the bins in the alley into this bin. Now that this bin is set up, we'll put all of our garden waste here all the way through fall cleanup. Though the bin looks pretty full, this material will settle and cook down, so we should have enough room to continue putting our waste here all the way through the fall. Other than that, there's very little work to do between now and when we harvest the compost next summer. I won't turn the pile. I may water it occasionally depending on how much rain we get. I'll cover it with plastic from fall through spring to keep the earthworms and the microbes active for a longer period of time. And next spring, I'll stock the pile with red wigglers to help finish off the compost. By the time the worms are finished with the pile, I'll have about 1/2 to 2/3 of a cubic yard of compost and worm castings, all from free local resources. This should be more than enough for our garden. The compost thermometer currently reads 70 degrees Fahrenheit. I'll come back tomorrow to see if it looks like the pile is going to warm up. I'll also check the video to see exactly how long it took to build this compost pile. Okay, it's less than 24 hours later, and this pile has already heated up from 70 degrees Fahrenheit to just over 90 degrees, which tells me that microbes are already starting to go to work on this pile. Though I don't think that all compost has to be hot compost. This initial surge in microbial activity will speed up decomposition and increase the likelihood that we'll have finished compost to harvest next summer. After reviewing the video, I saw that I spent just over 34 minutes building this pile, which in my opinion is a great use of my time, considering the amount of free compost and worm castings we'll have for the garden next summer. If you found this video helpful, please give it a thumbs up. And if you haven't already, please subscribe for more videos on how to grow a lot of food on a little land without spending much or working harder than you really have to.